Hello and welcome to another episode of the Organic Adventure Show. I am your host, Cy Rodriguez, and today we have a few things to talk about. I am wearing my African safari man outfit today since I was a gangster the other day, but I'm still a gangster at heart. But anyways, we're going to start off today sharing our word of the day. And our word of the day is arginine. Arginine is an amino acid considered non-essential amino acid. And this is except in the case of infants, because infants can't get arginine or create arginine in their body on their own, so they need to get it from their mother's milk. And I wanted to name a few sources of arginine that you can get it from, and I'm going to read these sources mostly from plant-based sources, although dairy products are good sources of arginine, including whey protein. And you can also get it from wheat germ and flour, from buckwheat, granola, oatmeal, peanuts, and coconut, pecans, cashews, walnuts, almonds. Almonds, I believe, are one of the higher in arginine of the nuts. Brazil nuts, hazelnuts, pine nuts, pumpkin, sesame, and sunflower seeds, chickpeas, cooked soybeans, to name some of the sources of arginine. And what would you want to know about arginine for? One of the reasons you might be interested in arginine is if you exercise, because arginine helps boost human growth hormone and nitric oxide in the body and has been shown to increase endurance in athletes. So in exercise, you would benefit in more than one way from arginine. So you have a few little bits of a new word there that you can expand on, and it's probably not new for everybody, but I just thought I would include that for a part of our show today. Now, I want to read something from Fitness RX magazine, which I found to be very interesting because so many people are on the anti-carbohydrate kick these days, and there's a lot of evidence to support that it's good to be on a high carbohydrate diet, as long as those carbohydrates are from sources that provide other forms of nutrition and they're whole foods, not just refined carbs like white sugars and white flours. But what I'm going to read from you might be surprising for some people, and I'm going to read the article by Steve Bleckman and Thomas Fahey, editors or authors appearing in Fitness RX magazine, and they're referring to a study that was noted by the Journal of Applied Physiology 109,431-438 called, and their article name is Muscle Glycogen Critical for Building Muscle Mass. So before we read, glycogen, for those of you who don't know, is stored in the liver and in the muscles, and in order for you to store glycogen in your muscles, you have to have glucose in your body to store that glycogen. And to store glycogen in your liver, you can get that from glucose or from fructose, and fructose coming from fruits. So this is word for word what the article says. High carbohydrate diets promote endurance capacity. We have known since the 1960s that low carbohydrate diets decrease endurance capacity by 25% or more. Carbohydrates are the principal fuels used at exercise intensities above 65% of maximum effort. A sophisticated study led by Martin Gibala from McMaster University in Canada showed that exercising with low muscle glycogen levels caused an increased use of protein as fuel and reduced the capacity of protein synthesis after exercise. The researchers caused muscle glycogen depletion through a combination of exercise and a low carbohydrate diet. This study has important implications for athletes who often consume low carbohydrate diets when trying to cut fat. severe glycogen depletion induced through training and exercise make it impossible to maintain muscle mass. And as you heard, that's the end of the article, as you heard, that as well as making it impossible to maintain muscle mass, if you are doing serious training without enough carbohydrates, you use more protein and you have a reduced capacity to synthesize protein that you do have. So this is just something that I thought was really good for people to kind of get the word on who hadn't already. And next and last for today, I wanted to talk about why am I doing the job that I'm doing, which is promoting health. And there are many reasons, but I thought it would be good to share a little story to give an understanding of where I am coming from and how one of the triggers for me to become very interested in health. So when I was just out of high school, or maybe even in my last year of high school, in the summer, I had a job as a painter for the school district. And I worked with one of my uncles and my brother and some other people who worked for my uncle. And we painted all kinds of buildings and bathrooms, things like that. And we mostly used latex paint, which has its own chemicals that are not good for you. And you should still be using even latex paint in a ventilated area. But one day we were all painting in the bathroom and there wasn't very much ventilation, and the doors were open to the bathroom and the doors were open to the school building, but that doesn't provide a lot of ventilation when you're using oil-based paints like we were on the bathroom stalls and doors. So we were painting, there was like 5 of us in there, it was the end of the day, my brother was there in another stall, and we were all kind of like laughing a little bit, and then like I noticed my eyes burned really bad. So I just out of the blue I said, "My eyes burn," and I said it like that, and it was kind of just a feeling I had at the time, and everybody started laughing, and then it was just silly because we couldn't stop laughing, and everybody was laughing so, I mean, just like crazily that I tried to stop laughing and I couldn't. And then I asked everybody else if they could stop laughing, and nobody could stop laughing. So what this led to was we all finished painting, and then we came out of the bathroom, and I was feeling really high. And I asked my brother, I said, "How do you feel, Rocky?" And he said, "I feel stupid." And when he said that, I realized that's kind of how I felt, and I never wanted to feel that way again. And it led to an understanding that chemicals affect us, and if there are some that are very noticeable in the ways that they affect us, and then there are some that are not as noticeable, but knowing that they affect you in general, and just having that kind of experience, and then learning later that that kind of oil-based paint kills brain cells, made me just not want to have anything to do with any kind of harmful chemicals. That doesn't mean that I didn't do my own partying and cause myself some damage on my own later, but I really just became paranoid about chemicals that were harmful and became a very intense ingredient reader for levels for foods and for any kind of household cleaners and other chemicals for using for anything. So this is my proposal. Why doesn't somebody come up with maybe chemicals that we can use for cars in your house that when you use them and they get on your fingers and hands, they're actually good for you? And I know that that's easier said than done. So I'm just putting that idea out there, and thank you for letting me share with you today. May every day be an adventure in health.